for thought and plenty of it. That is hopefully what you'll take away from this episode of A Business 7. Welcome to the program in which we will dive into the issue of agricultural development and progress as well as markets in Namibia.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Is it fair for giant economies like South Africa to bully David economies, small ones like Namibia, when it comes to access to their markets? We asked Theo Klein, economist of Simone Storm. Theo, a rather controversial subject. Sorry for putting you on the spot. Earlier this week, the media reported that there's pressure from South African producers to lash out at Namibia because apparently Namibia has informed South Africa that it will restrict the import of a certain produce because we can do it ourselves here. And according to media reports, a letter written to the South African Minister of Agriculture with all kinds of threats, including that Namibia get punished through its SACO revenue pool. How important is it for a small market like Namibia to stand its ground?
I think, we are a small country, Jo Marie. We, with very sporadic rainfall, we do not have big desalination plants in place to also provide better water security for our farmers. So we are definitely a small market that needs some kind of protection. If the Agronomic Board forecasts that local supply will be sufficient to meet local demand, then I for one am supportive of us then closing our borders, and so that all of us as consumers are then forced to buy locally and support local farmers. I think it's good that our government is trying to protect us from foreign companies dumping their food products here in Namibia. I mean, we are all well aware of Brazil dumping chicken products in South Africa, and some of that even still comes to Namibia. So I think if we really are serious about trying to develop our local agricultural industry, these are the kind I commend government for doing these kinds of things. I think Namibia is such a small market for the South African farmers or South African businesses to sell to. Our retail industry in Namibia is dominated by South African franchises who also exercise or maybe abuse market power over our farmers, especially the wholesalers who source products for the retailers, because we see farm gate prices on a declining trend in Namibia, yet retail prices are on an inclining trend. So just for an example, Jo Marie, of this abuse of market power, a Namibian farmer gets about $9.13 per kilogram for sweet potatoes, but then the retailer sells it for $35 per kilogram. That's almost 4 times the price that the farmer gets. And with a massive increase in input costs from diesel to fertilizers and animal feed prices that the farmer now faces, they are not getting the prices that they want from the wholesaler. So, there's already this tension between Namibian farmers and these South African wholesalers who source products for the South African retailers who operate in Namibia. So my argument, and I mean, as far as I remember, South Africa is also a net food importer. So, for them to now, want to force Namibia to remain an open market for their products, I think is also not fair. threatening us with lower SACU revenue. I mean, yeah, that's that is quite a heated topic, Jo Marie, where South Africans feel that, you know, they contribute most to SACU revenue, yet they need to share it, and they don't get, you know, with other countries who don't contribute that much to SACU revenue. But then another interesting argument is that if Botswana imports cars that come from on a ship, and that the ship unloads the cars in Durban's harbor, and then those cars get put on a truck and from Durban to Botswana, then that doesn't count as a foreign import for Botswana. It counts as an import from South Africa. But actually, Botswana did import those cars from Germany. It just had to go through South Africa en route to them. So, you know, to some extent, you know, you can't also say that South Africa is generating most of the, or, you know, majority, or probably still the biggest share. But I mean, I think the share of SACU revenue generation from other countries are understated because of the story that I just mentioned now. So I think, you know, that would also not be a fair thing to do, to threaten us, you know, with that. At the end of the day, South Africans must also be honest with themselves. They would most likely also first think of themselves and protect themselves at the expense of other African countries, if they were in Namibia's position. So, you know, I definitely do not see that as a fair thing to do.
While Namibia and its cities are seen as one of the cleanest countries in Africa, plastic pollution is a big problem. Therefore, it's up to each of us to do what we can to reduce the use of plastic, especially single-use plastic bags. At Liberty Life Namibia, we've taken the decision to turn all our old branding items into reusable shopping bags. It's a way in which we can drive sustainability and look after our most important stakeholder, our environment. If you also believe in sustainability and would like more information, please get in touch. Liberty Life Namibia. In it with you.
Simone Storm economist Theo Klein joins us again as he discusses the progress or the performance of the agricultural sector, both livestock and crop production in the second quarter of this year, and what we can expect for the rest of the year.
Theo, you just released your agricultural report. When we look at, just for now, the livestock situation, what do the latest data tell us?
So what we see, Germany, especially from the beginning of this year till now, is that local slaughtering for almost all livestock categories, so cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs, are on a declining trend. But then at the same time, we do see that live exports are growing by very strong double-digit figures, especially for cattle, sheep, and goats. So, you know, on the one hand, you know, it's somehow negative that we are doing less slaughtering and processing locally of various meat products, but then at the same time, our exports are increasing. So, and it's not just, South Africa is the biggest market that we export to, one of the biggest, but we do also export a great deal of our livestock to Europe. So I think that in itself is also positive, you know, earning foreign currency, boosting export earnings, and so forth. So that will also sort of be positive for the GDP calculation. But then I think one of the reasons we see explaining this trend is that certain farmers get certain price, or the prices on certain livestock products, sorry, is much higher in South Africa than in Namibia. So obviously there is that financial incentive to then rather export to South Africa, let them do the processing of the meat and so forth, because the farmer at the end of the day gets a higher price, and that benefits them, obviously. So, but I mean, all in all, I think, you know, these growth figures are likely to be positive for the agricultural sector. The livestock subsector is about 35% of the agricultural industry in Namibia. So I think it should be positive for the industry's GDP figures at the end of the day, especially for the second quarter, where we've seen total marketing of livestock also increasing by double digits. On average, it was an increase of about 26% in the second quarter this year compared to second quarter last year. So I think for the second quarter, agriculture likely to also be positive. But then going forward, as highlighted by the Meat Board in Namibia, there are risks given the movement bans on cattle in South Africa because of the recent foot and mouth disease outbreak. So, but I think all in all, you know, still likely to be positive for our local growth figures in the agricultural industry.
Theo, just a general question. It does sometimes crop up, no pun intended. Agriculture as such, I mean, it isn't a huge contributor to GDP if one sort of compare it with mining and wholesale and retail, etc. But the issue goes much deeper than that, because agriculture and growth in agriculture is extremely important, and because it's such a big employer.
Exactly. I think if I remember correctly, Germany, agriculture is either the second or the third largest employer by industry in Namibia. So once again, as you rightfully said, not contributing much towards GDP. I think the last time I checked, it was roughly between 8 or 10% of GDP. But it is so important for incomes that are being earned by Namibians. Also, I mean, okay, this is not contributing to GDP, but also quite a lot of subsistence farming taking place, especially in the north. You know, but I think it is rightfully, as you say, it is one of the biggest employers. So just in terms of personal income taxes that are paid on those salaries, and families that are sustained by those incomes, it is definitely a very important socially for Namibia.
Theo, moving on to the economic side of it, what is the current outlook?
So we are cautiously optimistic on crop production or crop farming, Jo-Marie, partly because, you know, some areas received good rain, some didn't receive much rain, some received late rains, and you know, and that will negatively impact on their harvests. And then some areas received excessive rain that caused crop damage. So, you know, and we are also aware, I think a few months ago, there were some pesticide or insect outbreaks in the north. You know, so there are quite a number of negatives for crop farming in Namibia. Also, our maize triangle, the area between Otavi, Tsumeb, and Grootfontein, received late rains. And if we look at the first quarter GDP figures, some cereal and grain production and maize production decreased by between 60 and 80% in the first quarter of this year. So I think, you know, that is very large negative figures coming out there. So I think crop production could probably come in negative this year. And also already with the Namibia Agronomic Board, we've seen they have reduced the number of products on their list that, you know, you're not allowed to import. So in June, we had about 13 products that you were not allowed to import because based on their estimates, local supply was sufficient. But then in July already, they reduced that to 10 products. So I think that's also just indicative that, you know, going forward, local production might not be sufficient. And then already for the period between August and December this year, they are forecasting shortages for quite a large number of different horticulture products from beetroots, onions, green peppers, carrots, and so forth. So I think that also, their forecasts indicate to us that, at least they don't expect local supply to be sufficient going forward. So I think that could be negative for the GDP figures.
Of course, also bad the current developments or forecast developments, bad news for the farmer, but especially bad news for the consumer, because when there are local shortages, we have to import, and then this whole inflation monster just keeps gobbling up our very small income.
Exactly. South Africa imports a great deal of their food also from South Africa, from Europe. And I mean, we also import a great deal of our food from South Africa amongst European countries and so forth. So I think those global food prices will then filter through to us, as we need to import more. Although we do see global food prices moderating, Jomari, I think that's sort of one positive development that we see globally, but I still think it will take some time for our food prices to also start moving lower. Also because, we're still sitting with a very weak rand US dollar exchange rate. So I think it will still take some time for food prices to start declining in Namibia. So that's why I think, at least for the next couple of months, possibly till the end of this year, we will still see fairly elevated levels of food prices locally.
Even opening accounts, just like that. Oh, did I tell you what my husband did?
Even me, I want to save time with what's the name of the app?
FNB app.
Don't be left behind. Make the switch to the FNB app, online banking or cell phone banking, and change the way you bank to change your life. FNB, how can we help you?
Why is it important that food prices are monitored globally, and how is it done? We're playing out with this video of the International Monetary Fund, which explains it in detail. And with that, we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Across the world and around the clock, the buying and selling of food commodities take place along supply chains that get food from producers to consumers. Having up-to-date information about the prices of these commodities as they change hands improves the transparency and efficiency of markets, enabling producers, traders, consumers, and policymakers to make better decisions. Rising or falling food prices may also indicate changes in supply and demand, and can be a sign of abnormal conditions that need to be addressed. Timely and transparent food price information helps to ensure better agricultural livelihoods, and ultimately, safeguards the food security of populations. This is especially important for poor and vulnerable consumers, as they generally spend a larger portion of their income on food, and can be hit hard by food price shocks. In most countries, the official collection of food prices usually falls under the mandate of the National Statistics Agency, or a market information system, often linked to the Ministry of Agriculture. But all too often, this data is not easily accessible to supply chain actors, consumers, or analysts involved in policy formulation. To improve access to food price data, FAO's Markets and Trade Division developed the Food Price Monitoring and Analysis Tool, or FPMA tool. This innovative tool makes it easy to share food price information and carry out analysis, providing accurate information for better policy making and food security monitoring. The online interface allows users to scan current and past prices, check basic statistics such as percentage changes, and make comparisons across markets, commodities, and seasons. The FPMA tool is available to countries and regional organizations. It can be linked to existing systems that collect food price data and tailored to meet specific needs. Besides providing a platform for browsing and analyzing data, the system's advanced programming interface technology also supports the development of dynamic online reporting products. FAO is also developing a complementary tool for the collection of food prices using mobile devices. This tool will link up with the existing FPMA tool to share the data. The FPMA tool has already been launched in several countries and is improving access to food price information at national and regional levels. FAO also maintains a global version of the tool that is a valuable public resource, available for all to use. The global tool includes domestic food prices for major foods in over 90 countries, as well as international benchmark prices for major food commodities. By ensuring everyone has easy and reliable access to accurate food price information, we can help to protect food and agricultural livelihoods, while also safeguarding food security for millions of people.
Every day, you make choices that make you legendary. Journey together with us on the path to securing your legacy as a member of the League of Legends. With the Select Platinum Bundle Fee Premium Bank offering, you will access tools that will enable you to thrive. If you earn 850,000 Namibian dollars per annum or more, you can apply for this offering today via bankvinted.com.na for only 447 Namibian dollars per month. Bank Vinted, a member of Capricorn Group.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. We crunch the numbers that matter, decipher statistics that shape Namibian lives, discuss smart money, and explore the impact of global developments locally. Money makes the world go round, so catch us on NTV, oneup2.com, and the Facebook platforms of Namibian Sun, Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, and Namibia Media Holdings. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
While Namibia and its cities are seen as one of the cleanest countries in Africa, plastic pollution is a big problem. Therefore, it's up to each of us to do what we can to reduce the use of plastic, especially single-use plastic bags. At Liberty Life Namibia, we've taken the decision to turn all our old branding items into reusable shopping bags. It's a way in which we can drive sustainability and look after our most important stakeholder, our environment. If you also believe in sustainability and would like more information, please get in touch. Liberty Life Namibia. In it with you.
Every day, you make choices that make you legendary. Journey together with us on the path to securing your legacy as a member of the League of Legends. With the Select Platinum Bundle Fee Premium Bank offering, you will access tools that will enable you to thrive. If you earn 850,000 Namibian dollars per annum or more, you can apply for this offering today via bankvinted.com.na for only 447 Namibian dollars per month. Bank Vinted, a member of Capricorn Group.
You know, a few weeks ago, I would never do this on a Saturday morning. Back then, I was standing in line all day. Now it's just like that.
You are using the FNB banking app like I told you.
Girl, it saved my weekend. Now I can do all my banking on this.
Payments, transfers, checking statements,
Even opening accounts.
just like that.
Oh, did I tell you what my husband did?
Even me, I want to save time with the, what's the name of the app?
FNB app.
Don't be left behind. Make the switch to the FNB app, online banking or cell phone banking, and change the way you bank to change your life. FNB, how can we help you?